All right, how's it going, everyone? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build a math quizzing application using vue.js. And yeah, let's just go get started. This is going to be like a live coding session, stream of conscious, so hopefully you like it. And if you do enjoy videos like this, be sure to subscribe and click that bell icon because there's going to be a lot of videos like this in the future. So what are we trying to build? Basically, I want to build an app that has an initial page where you clicked like multiplication, subtraction, division, or addition. And that's going to prompt you with a bunch of random math quiz problems. And you can select from, I don't know, a list of 5 answers based on what the math is. And we're not going to invest too much time with like the division part, but let's go ahead and just try doing that. So right here, I have a Vue app created for us over here. I'd use the Vue CLI to create an app. You can see here, this is the initial setup that you get. And after running npm run serve, we're hosting a app on port 8080, which you see here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go into my app.vue here. I can minimize this. We don't really need this at this point. And inside of app view, we could just go ahead and put a majority of our logic inside of this. And you can structure this however you want. But what I want to do is just go ahead and clear out most of all this stuff. And we can import it later. And we just want to display 4 buttons. And when you click on a button, that's going to show you a different type of math quiz. So let's save this and kind of walk through this. So let's do a button. We could say addition, do a plus in that tag. And let's see, addition plus minus division and times, subtraction, division, multiplication. All right, so we have the 4 different math operators that we're going to be quizzed on. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and style these a little bit to make them a little bit more pleasing to look at. I'll say padding of 10, say width of 100 pixels, a background color. Let's find a good color to use. Check out this site. Yeah, that one looks good. Background color is white. And font size of 24 pixels. So let's go back to our app. And now we have 4 buttons. For some reason, the hover is not working on these buttons, which I find kind of strange because they're buttons. So let me just make this cursor pointer. And I'm not sure what's going on over here. Maybe the multiplication is going off the screen. Multiplication. All right, let's just add some more width because these are just not working. I'm going to add margin right of 10 pixels to these. Here we go. And let's just make this a default height of 80 pixels or something. Trying to fix it. Okay. So we have 4 buttons. And the idea is when you click on the button, we want to start quizzing the person with like different random numbers and different pretty much math, and then they can select what the answer is. And while we're at it, let's just add a math quiz app. Let's see how this works. I'll add a break here. Maybe I should add a break to all these just so that they are consistent and they all have the actual thing on the bottom. And it looks like I don't need the percentage. Sorry, I'm just kind of messing with the style and the layout of the stuff. It's not that important in terms of like, there we go, that looks pretty decent. Except for, again, multiplication is going off the screen. So I think I could just make the width. Nah, I'd rather have a static width. So I'll make the width 160. There we go. So what are we trying to do? When a user clicks on one of these buttons, we're going to have to kind of show a different page or a different view, or just kind of hide what we have here. And the easiest thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to bring in like view router. I'm just going to go ahead and just use state to hide and show based on what quiz you have typed in. So let us do that. I'm going to add a data function here. In fact, I'll do that. Return operator is an empty string. I'll do null for now. And I will say methods is going to be an object with a select operator. And then I could say operator here. And basically, I just want to keep track of the operator that we selected. So in all these buttons, we could add a click listener. So in Vue, you could do @click equals to, and then type in the method that you want to actually call. So luckily, our IntelliSense gives us select operator, and we can type in addition. I'll just do plus. How about that? So now on all the buttons, I'm just going to add their corresponding operators and make sure I have a trailing double quote on these. What is this one? Division. I hate it when double quotes get like auto-filled sometimes. So just to verify that this works, let's just do a double mustache or whatever it's called, handlebars, and print out what the operator is. So starting off, the operator should be null. Nothing should really show up. But if I click on one of these, hard to see, but notice here on the left, we have a little plus sign depending on what we clicked. And in fact, I'm going to just say font size is 24 pixels. There we go. Okay, so after you click on one of these operators, you want to pretty much hide this stuff. And one thing that would probably be good to do is put this in a separate component. So I'm going to delete this hello world stuff. Don't need that. But what we do want is I'm going to make a component called operator selector.view. And I'll scaffold out a view component using VS Code template stuff. And let's go ahead and get started with building out what this operator selector is. And we're going to be using that from our app view. So in order to use this new selector or component, inside our script tag of the app view, we could import it, operator selector from /components/operator selector.view. I do believe you need the view extension. So inside components, we can add that in, and that'll give us the ability to use that as a HTML like element here. So if I call operator selector like this, and I'm going to cut all this HTML code out, put it in our template, and this probably needs a root element, so let's just add a root element here. And same deal. I think this will render now. So it's still rendering, but the issue is now when we click on the buttons, because that click event was kind of nested inside the new component, our app doesn't get that event back. So one thing we can do is inside of this smaller component, we can emit an event when someone clicks on something. So let me actually change this to operator selected. You know what? Never mind. Change operator. You could probably name this whatever you want, but what we could do is we could probably either pass in a callback method here, or we could have this emit an event. So I'm going to do an emit event, and I think I have to refresh my memory on this, but I think I can just say emit. You could do the method name, and then you can pass it a payload, right? So let's not worry about these right now. We can just comment them out so we don't get distracted by them. But now when we click on this addition, it should emit a change operator event with a plus payload. And what we could do is when that happens, so on change operator, we could call an internal method called change operator. All right, so where was I? So yeah, so this should emit, this nested component, our child component should emit an event called change operator, which is going to call an internal method called change operator. And we should hopefully get that operator here, if I'm remembering how to do events. And you can't do console logs because my ESLint is not set up correctly. So I think it worked. You saw that the plus button showed up here. So this is actually emitting an event up to the parent node. And what we want to do instead, I just copy from here. I could replace these other ones. Okay, so we're back to where we started. Good little refactoring. It keeps the app component a little bit cleaner because you don't want your components to get so large that they become unmanageable, and then you have tons of methods that aren't even related to other methods like sprinkled in with each other. So I think that was a good step towards refactoring. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to display a new thing down here, a new view or panel or div, which basically has a bunch of random math problems that show up, and then you have the ability to select one of 5 answers or something. I don't want to do input boxes because that's such a pain to like type in. So we can go ahead and get rid of this. You know what? I accidentally sometimes use this. I should not be using this. So if you see me do that, don't use this in your templates. But anyway, okay, so we want a new component called like, I don't know, operator quiz.view. And in that operator quiz view, let's just start with something simple such as displaying the operator. So we're going to assume that the operator is passed in as a prop. So if we go here, we can say props operator. And what this does is it gives us the ability to pass in operator if we were to use this, but we haven't imported it yet. So let's go to operator quiz, operator quiz, and pull that in and make sure that we define it as a component that we can use it. And up here, we want to just call operator quiz, and we could pass in a prop called operator. Make sure you use the colon here to bind. That's how you bind props and stuff inside Vue. So again, we have this selector that's propagating an event up. This app is changing the operator, and then the operator is being passed down into the operator quiz. So if we did this correctly, the same operator should print out. And just to verify, because just add some exclamation marks here. All right, so we have 2 components. We have the quiz selector, the operator selector here, which is, you know what, actually I could load up my inspector and just kind of show you that so it makes sense. So operator selector, and we have the quiz. Now they're both divs. I could probably add a class or an ID to them to make it a little bit easier to understand, but I guess we don't need to. So one thing I'm going to do is when you actually select an operator, we want to hide the selector, right? You pick the quiz mode. You're kind of in the quiz, the quizzing app section right then. We don't want to keep on showing these 4 buttons. So we can use a vif and only show it if operator is defined. So when the app first loads, if I refresh the page, sorry, if operator is not defined, so I need to do not. So when the page first loads, operator is set to null, because if you remember here in the state, we said operator null, or in data, I guess. But when you actually click on one of these, that's going to set it, and then we're going to hide that. And then the same deal with this. We only want to show the quiz if operator is defined. And what I like to do with my HTML is space it like this. Well, I have a linter going, which is auto formatting my stuff, but I think once I hit like 3 or 4 properties, this will automatically format down, but you get the idea. Okay, so now the issue is once we selected a quiz, we have no way to go back. So it would be nice to add a button here inside of this root component that says back. And what we could do here is just emit an event called, what could this do? Let's say clear operator. Something like that. I guess that works. Who knows? Beautiful thing about code is that you can refactor it. So don't feel so attached to what you're doing in the moment. You can come back, write your unit tests, write your component tests, integration tests, and then refactor your code to your heart's, what's the term? Content? Who knows? Okay, so we have, let's see. We want to clear the operator. You know, that's not a good idea. I think I should just say on back, clear operator. All right. So let me explain what I'm doing here. I'm changing this to on back because really the whole idea of this operator is something that's stored by the app component. So I don't think it makes sense to have the quiz emit something called clear operator. I think it should call something called like on back. Or it should emit an on back, and then it's up to the responsibility app.vue to clear that operator. So I can say this operator is equal to null. And yeah, let's see if that works. Yeah, so we can click on the operator and then click a back button when you're done with that particular quiz. And we'll probably have the back button at the bottom of the page so it doesn't get in the way of your actual like, quiz session. So the next part is we want to randomly create some numbers and just kind of present them. We'll say numbers 0 through 12. And based on the operator passed in, we are going to show some buttons with answers or results. So let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to say, let's say H1 and H4, or H4. So again, what are we doing? We're trying to just randomly display a math problem for them. So I'm going to say, what can I do? I'll make a data, first of all, that is going to return an object that has operand left, which is null, operand right, which is null maybe. We can change this in a second, but when, we'll say when the component mounts, do we want mounts or created? You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button called start. And that's going to call a method called start quiz. So we'll say methods here. There's one called start quiz. And what that does is it basically sets these to some random variables. So operand left, let me pull that up, is equal to math.random times 13. And I'll say parse int. So that'll give us a random integer between 0 and 12, I believe. And we'll do the same thing with operand right. And inside of here, we could say operand left, space, operator, space, operand right. Save that and figure out why this is failing. Forgot to add another curly brace. And so let's first of all, let's see if this actually does what we want. If I click start, Getting some errors here. Invalid handler for event click got undefined. So click, start quiz, methods, start quiz. Let me clear this. Property or method start quiz is not defined on the instance but referenced during render. Am I doing something incorrectly? Huh. Let me do a hard refresh. I don't know what's going on here. I think that was just maybe my browser was caching something. Let's try this again. Okay, so now when we click start, it creates some random numbers. Notice that we're getting zeros and we're getting a 12. So we are in the right range, and we got that operator kind of printed out in the middle of it. So one thing we want to do is we only want to show this. We'll say we don't want to show a section here if the quiz is started. So is started, I guess we could say. Is quiz started? So we'll have a data thing that says is quiz started, and we'll say false starting off. But then when you do click the start button, you're going to set it to true. And inside of that div, we're going to wrap that. And inside of this other div, we're going to say if not started, we show the button. All right, so now we have a start button. When you click it, it hides and it starts showing your math problems. Now in this part, what we do next is we want to display, let's say, answers, right? So one thing we could do is have an answers. And inside of answers, basically we just want to generate 5 random answers that we could do. So I'm going to say, let's see the easiest way to do this. I'll just do a for loop, I guess. Const answer of, let me do a let I equal 0. I'll do a traditional for loop. We'll do 5. And then we're going to create 5 answers. So loop 5 times, push a answer into the answers array. So I'm going to say math. I'm going to do parse. I'm going to copy and paste this code. We can clean this up later if you want. But we want to, what would be the best way to do this? To create answers that are kind of like realistic. Like you don't want to be printing out 200 when you're doing 1 plus 1. But what I think we want to do is basically just say, take the operand left and times it by a random number that's between I don't know, 1 and 3. Let me go here. I'm going to make a constant called answer so that this code is a little bit cleaner because right now it's looking messy. So make a random number, times it by 1 and 3, and add it to operand right times parse int math.random between 1 and 3. I don't know how this is going to work, so we'll see. We'll fix it. We'll refactor it if it's not good. But at this point, what we want to do is just loop through all those answers using a v4. So I could just make a bunch of buttons and say v4 answer of answers. I might have to look this up. I completely kind of forget how to do v4. And we can print out answer here. Let's see, vbind key. I think I can do that. I wish this wasn't going off the screen here. I need to fix my linter. Let's just do a hard refresh. Click on division. Click start. Duplicate key detected 0 and 0. So let me try math. Let me try addition. 1 second. So addition. Click start. We have 5 random answers we can click on. And what we want to do now is when we click on an answer, we check if the answer matches what it should have been. Otherwise, we probably displayed like a correct or incorrect message. Okay, so we need to, in the operator quiz, we have 5 random answers, but we need to guarantee that at least one of them is the correct answer. So I'm going to say const expected answer is equal to, in fact, this needs to be dynamic. This comes from operator. So what we can do here is I'm going to make 4 methods. I'm going to make a const called methods. I'm going to say add. No. I'm going to do plus, and that's going to be a callback function that adds 2 numbers. A plus B. Yeah, there's probably a better way to do this. I don't want to use like JavaScript evals. Like we know what the operator we need to use is, but we don't necessarily have a way to dynamically write code using that unless you use a JavaScript eval, which is not a good approach. So we'll have a list of 4 methods that we can call. And instead of doing this right here, where we just hard code adding them together, we should probably pass in that random number, actually methods of this dot operator. That's going to take 2 arguments. We're just going to pass in those 2 random numbers there, and then push that into the answers array. And then our expected answer should be, let's pull this out to a method 2. Method to use is equal to that. Hopefully this is all making sense. This dot operand left. This dot operand right. For expected answer, let's see if, let's just save this and check to make sure that this works. I comment that out because we're not using that. So addition, start, duplicate key. We need to fix that in a second. So what we're going to do is press 4, and that's not going to do anything because we haven't actually implemented a callback there. But oh, okay, sorry, I forgot what we're trying to do. But we need to get the expected answer and then basically push that in the answers to make sure that we always have the option to do that. So I'm going to just overwrite one of the answers. So math.random. We're doing a lot of random in this app. It's pretty fun. And then answers.length. So get a random index inside this answers array and push the expected answer. So at this point, one of them is always going to be the right answer. So 7, 11 should be 1. Okay, so it looks like it is working as we expect. Now, one of the issues is we keep generating numbers that are duplicates. This seems to happen a lot. Now, why is that? Let's see. Maybe 9. We'll come back. We'll revisit that. But let's first try to add a click listener. So when you click on one of these buttons, we actually check to see if you've gotten the right answer. And we are going to, what are we going to do? Add a click listener. And we're going to say answer, select answer. And that is going to be answer. So this assumes we have a method called select answers. Takes in the answer that the user selected. And we just check if answer, I think I have an extra S there. If the answer selected, make this more explicit. Naming stuff is hard, but I like to make it more verbose so that you actually know that, okay, this is the answer the user selected. So if answer selected is equal to this dot expected answer, and notice that we don't actually have an expected answer in data. Let's add that. Save that. So if they are equal, all we do is we just call, I guess we could just call start quiz again. There's no harm in that. I mean, it's just gonna pretty much generate all the same stuff again, put it on the page. I think it should work. If not, we'll refactor it, right? And then else, if you select the wrong answer, let's just display an alert that says wrong answer. Yeah, let's see how this works. So addition 6 plus 0. I select 0, wrong answer. And then what I think you should do, I think you should probably start a new quiz. You know what? I think it should just be fresh every time. So if they're not equal, we're just going to print that wrong answer and then start a new quiz. So 7 plus 5, I don't know what that is. So if I click 0, wrong answer, and then we get a new set of problems. Whoa, look at that bug. That's jacked up. So what we want to do is make sure we set answers back to an empty array here, so that it doesn't append 5 more every time. Cool. 8. So that works. The same thing is the only issue is that it keeps generating the same number sometimes. So instead of using key, I think you can say index. I think I can just do that. I'm going to use the index as the unique key of the for loop. Is that good practice? Who knows? But it prevents us from getting that error again. So one thing I'm noticing is that the numbers tend to be 0 to 2. And that's not really what we want. So I think instead of doing math.randoms for getting these numbers, I think we should take the operator left, operator right, either subtract 1, add 1, and just push that in. So I'm going to say this dot operand left, this dot operand right, and I'm going to add 1 here. You know what? Sometimes, doing for loop, keeping code clean is good. But sometimes, honestly, just doing things the dirty way gives you better results. So I'm just going to either we do operand left plus 1, operand right plus 1, and then we add them both together. We can do operand left minus 1, operand right minus 1. So just push some random stuff into the answers array. We might have duplicate values. We might not. But I think this will give us a list of answers that are closer to the real answer. So now it's a little bit more challenging for the user. Like 9 plus that's 16, right? This should be 4. We have 3, 6, 5, 5. That's kind of annoying. We could fix the duplicate key issue. One of these is being a duplicate, so just try selecting both of those. Doom. Well, I mean, you get the idea. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to perfect this, but I mean, I think that is, we got addition going. Let's try subtraction. So 6 minus 6, 0, 7 minus that, negative 2, minus 5, 10 minus that is 5. If I pick a random number that doesn't match, we get wrong answer. Let's try division. Division is going to crash hard probably because you're going to have like divided by something. It's like 6 divided by 9. Probably that. 5 divided by 9. Yeah, this division would need some work, especially if it's a beginner division quiz for students, like in elementary school. You don't want to be quizzing them on decimals like this because that's insane. So we'll save that for another time. If you wanted to come in and figure that yourself, got to wrap this tutorial up because I'm running out of time. I got to start work for real. So last one, multiplication. Oh, you know what? I noticed something that the multiplication had plus here. That's not right. So let's go back. And the selector must be doing, yeah, it's doing plus for multiplication. So let's go back and fix that. Refresh the page. Multiplication, start. Okay, now that looks pretty challenging. I don't know what the answer is. My math is so bad these days. 4. So there you have it. There you have a simple little math quiz app. Probably a lot of bugs in this. I'm not thoroughly testing it. I'm not thoroughly making it an awesome app. I just wanted to kind of show you, like, do a recap of what we learned. So we learned how to create a Vue app with children components that emit events back up to the parent. The parent can then listen to those and change state based on what was sent up. And then we're sending that operator into the quiz. Our quiz component is where the basics of all this stuff is happening, the meat and potatoes of the quiz, where we take an operator, we generate some random numbers, we show it to the user, and we check if the answer they select is the right answer. Yeah, feel free to, if you wanted to kind of fix any bugs you find in this or style it up, do a pull request against my YouTube repo and, push some changes. I'm open to always add changes in. But yeah, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe, click the bell icon, and like the video, because I'm going to have a lot of stuff like this in the future. I'm not going to make sure all this stuff is perfect. I'm just trying to live code it, give you some good overviews of building apps. But if you have any suggestions on future application ideas, leave me a comment, send me a message, and I will try to see if I can work on it. I want to keep these things under like 30 minutes to an hour, but we'll see. We'll see how long some of them take. Again, I'm Cody Seibert, and happy coding.